Ever open your bank app and see charges you don't even remember starting? Yeah, that was me after just one free trial. I hit Start Trial, watched a show, and forgot about it the next day. A few days later, another app popped up. Same promise. Cancel anytime. $5 here, $3 there. Didn't feel like a big deal. So I never checked the full list until one morning I finally did. That's when I saw 12 subscriptions running at the same time. At first, it felt normal, like something everyone signs up for without thinking too much. I started with one app for music, and it just stayed running in the background every day. Another app showed up when my phone ran out of storage, so I added it without hesitation. A friend mentioned a streaming service, and I tried the free trial because it sounded easy. Each time I hit Start Trial, nothing felt serious or permanent in that moment. Most charges stayed under $10, so I never treated them like real spending. $5 here, $3 there, it blended into everything else and never felt urgent. Days moved fast, and the app stayed quiet while life kept going forward. No loud alerts showed up, no warning signs telling me to slow down. Sometimes I noticed a charge, then told myself I would check it later. Late at night, another offer appeared, right when I wasn't paying attention. The message always sounded simple: start free and cancel whenever you want. So I kept tapping yes because nothing in that moment felt expensive. Weeks passed quickly, and another billing cycle came around without me noticing. Small renewals kept happening while I focused on work and daily routines. One app renewed while I was driving, and another charged while I was asleep. Everything felt invisible because the numbers stayed small across the month. I never opened the full list because nothing alone felt big enough to worry about. The system kept running quietly while I barely thought about how many were active. Then one morning I opened the subscriptions page instead of closing the banking app. The screen looked longer than usual, and that moment felt different. I slowed down and actually looked at every charge instead of scrolling past it. That was the first time I saw how many subscriptions were running together. And suddenly, it didn't feel like one free trial anymore. It felt like a pattern. I opened the subscriptions page, and the list kept scrolling longer than I expected. Some names looked familiar, but a few made me stop and think, when did I start that one? Each service had its own billing date, and nothing lined up in one clear moment. I realized these payments didn't feel like normal spending because I never chose them again. Buying coffee feels real. You see it and remember the moment right away. Subscriptions feel different. They stay quiet and keep running without asking. One started during a weekend when I just wanted something new to watch. Another came from a bundle deal because it looked cheaper at the time. A third appeared after I upgraded storage, and I never looked back at it again. None of those choices felt connected until I saw them all on one screen. I started tapping into each app, checking the renewal dates one by one. Different days, different amounts, spread just enough to stay unnoticed. That spacing made everything feel lighter, even though the total kept growing. The design felt smooth, bright buttons and easy signups everywhere. Every app reminded me what I might lose, but never why I should stop. Nothing felt aggressive, just small nudges that kept everything running. Standing there with my phone, the list didn't feel scary, just unfamiliar. I realized it wasn't about one bad decision, it was about many small ones. The longer I looked, the clearer the patterns started to feel. These services didn't grow overnight, they stacked slowly without noise. I noticed some apps I hadn't opened in weeks still charging like nothing changed. That was the moment I understood how easy it was to forget automatic payments. It wasn't dramatic or emotional, just a quiet realization in front of a screen. And for the first time, I saw the full picture instead of isolated charges. The next billing cycle came around, and the charges started appearing one by one. A small payment showed up early in the morning, and I barely noticed it at first. Later that day, another app renewed, right in the middle of everything else I was doing. By the end of the week, several subscriptions had quietly taken their turn. None of the amounts looked big, but together, they started to feel heavier. Instead of one clear payment, the totals spread across random days of the month. That spacing made it easy to ignore because nothing felt urgent on its own. I looked at my balance, and everything seemed normal at a quick glance. Then I opened the detailed list, and the pattern became harder to ignore. Streaming renewed while I was working, and storage updated while my phone synced. A music app charged again, even though I hadn't opened it in days. Nothing about it felt dramatic, it just kept happening in the background. Small choices like ordering food suddenly made me hesitate for a second. Not because of one big bill, but because the quiet costs were adding up. I realized I wasn't reacting to a single charge, I was reacting to the pattern. The apps didn't ask for permission again, they just kept renewing on schedule. Every few days another notification appeared, then disappeared just as fast. Life kept moving, and the subscriptions kept running without needing attention. I noticed how easy it was to forget something that never made noise. The system felt smooth, almost too smooth to question. Nothing forced me to stop and review everything at once. That's why the total stayed hidden behind normal daily spending. One subscription didn't change much, but a dozen changed how the month felt. The realization came slowly, not from shock, but from repetition. And that's when I started thinking about what these small renewals were really doing. One evening, I left the subscriptions list open longer than usual, just staring at the screen. I started scrolling slower, actually reading the names instead of skipping past them. Some services still made sense because I used them almost every day. Others felt familiar, but I couldn't remember the last time I opened them. The longer I looked, the more the patterns started to feel obvious. Nothing about these choices felt wrong when they first started. Each sign-up came from a different moment, a late-night trial or a quick upgrade. Back then it felt small, just another tap that didn't matter much. Now seeing them together felt different, like looking at the full story at once. The total didn't shock me, it felt quiet and steady instead. Almost like background noise that slowly got louder over time. I realized subscriptions rarely ask you to decide again after the first click. There's no cart to review and no reminder before the next renewal hits. Everything just keeps moving unless you stop and look at it yourself. That thought didn't make me angry, it just made things clearer. It wasn't about one bad app or one bad decision. It was about how easy small habits stack up when nothing interrupts them. Standing there with my phone, the list finally made sense to me. Some services stayed because they still felt useful in my routine. Others felt like old versions of myself that I forgot to let go of. The moment wasn't dramatic, just calm and honest. I didn't rush to cancel everything. I just started thinking differently. Seeing the full picture changed how I felt about every small payment. And for the first time, I understood how quietly a free trial can grow into something bigger. The next morning felt the same. Coffee brewing while notifications quietly filled the screen. Nothing around me changed, and that's what made it feel real. Subscriptions were never really the enemy, they just stayed longer than I noticed. Some apps still made sense because I used them without even thinking. Others felt like old habits that didn't belong to my routine anymore. Instead of canceling everything fast, I slowed down and looked at each one honestly. One stayed because it actually helped me every single day. Another moved to a cheaper plan because I realized I didn't need all the extra stuff. A few disappeared quietly, and nothing about that felt traumatic. Life kept moving, and the world around me looked exactly the same. Apps still ran in the background, and payments still happened on schedule. The only thing that changed was how aware I felt opening my phone. For the first time, I knew exactly where my money was going each month. There was no big emotional moment, just a clearer view of small decisions. I didn't feel guilty about starting free trials because that's how everyone begins. I just stopped pretending those small charges didn't matter anymore. Seeing the full list made everything feel slower and more intentional. Some choices stayed, some faded out, and nothing felt forced. The system didn't change, the design didn't change, only my attention did. And that small shift made everything feel lighter than before. If you've ever started one free trial and forgotten about it later, you probably know that feeling. Maybe there's a list running quietly on your phone right now, waiting to be seen. Not because something is wrong, but because small patterns hide inside normal routines.
And sometimes the story doesn't end with canceling everything, it starts when you finally look.